Greetings, Professor. My name is Devankit, and I'm very happy to be presenting this video on behalf of my great team, team number 10, and whose members are Ashish, Vinay, and Martina. I'll take a quick moment to start running the web scraping, and after which I'll go into a little bit more detail about what our products are all about, and I can give you a bit of context, and then we can take it from there. So I'm going to quickly open file code, run module. Great. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Professor. Just as a caveat right at the beginning, the web scraping takes a little bit of time. I think we timed it to be like 15 to 20 minutes. So there will come a point where we might have to skip a lot of that and just go into the product. But I will take the opportunity right now to go over what our product's about and kind of set the context, set the story behind what the product's gonna show you in the next few minutes. So, we're group number 10, and the four of us have been working on an interesting idea where we're trying to help budding restaurateurs, at least initially coming into Pittsburgh, and trying to figure out, based on the cuisine of the restaurant they want to establish, where exactly they can establish based on a number of different major factors that involve things like property price, the population density of a certain neighborhood, the crime rate at that area, and of course the distribution of the current cuisines within that area. So the way our product works is we have three different options. It's a menu-driven program where the user is going to have three options. The first option kind of gives a very general, high-level, really cool, interactive overview of Pittsburgh and things like the population density, the crime rate, the property price, and also the distribution of the different cuisines that we have. So for our product, we've basically taken the five main cuisines. I think it's or six main cuisines. So it's going to be things like Italian, Indian, Chinese, etc. We're going to see that in a bit. And that's what the first option does, and gives a bit of descriptive statistics on, showing neighborhoods within Pittsburgh that have the minimum maximum population and give a bit of characteristics about that, and a few box plots that show outliers for these different cuisines within the neighborhoods. The second option kind of gives the user the ability to click on one of the 30 odd neighborhoods that we were able to gather data and we want to see a little bit about that specific neighborhood, right? We have a distribution of the different cuisines within just that neighborhood, their average property price, the population density, and just facts that might help the user gain a certain initial perspective or perception of what's kind of going on in that specific neighborhood. So he can aid him make a decision moving forward. And the third thing, the main thing about our product is basically based on certain inputs from the user, we'd want to recommend the top three neighborhoods that fit in that description. So we take in inputs like, okay, what kind of cuisine do you want? And three questions about how important certain big criteria are. For example, how important is competition in that area? How important is property price? And how important, I think, is the crime in that area? So based on that, we have used a weighted sum for now to kind of give a score to all the different neighborhoods with that combination within our data set. And we essentially select the top three neighborhoods to represent, and really to tell the user that, hey, look, based on what you've said, we feel that these three are the ones that would fit in your description for your specific cuisine. And we think it's a really cool idea initially, and we think that based on conversation with people who can help us, make this product more sophisticated, and due to the lack of nicely labeled data available online specifically for our cause, it is difficult to run sophisticated predictive modeling on this at the current stage. but that's definitely our next step, and that's something we noted down in our presentation as well. So yeah, for now, I think that gives a fairly high level overview of what our product's all about. And in the meantime, while the web scrape is going on, it's going to take a few minutes. I'll be taking this opportunity to pause, and once the web scraping is done, I'm going to restart, and then we can go through the product. And we're back, Professor. Thank you for waiting, or at least when we cut the last 20 minutes off. So this is kind of what the user is going to see, right? So as I mentioned earlier, there's three main options and an option number 4 that kind of says exit. But the main things are the first, just to quickly recap, the first one gives an overall view of the Pittsburgh restaurant trends and also an overall trend of the various major variables like population density, etc., across all the neighborhoods at Pittsburgh, or at least the neighborhoods that we were able to scrape. The second one is within the list of neighborhoods, we allow the user to kind of select the neighborhood, and we can see, summary statistics or summary information for the neighborhood that's selected. And lastly, we try and locate the optimal neighborhood, or at least the top three, based on a certain weight given by the user in certain categories. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you our product called Food for You. So we see that choosing option 1 allows us to pick one of the 4 different big themes that we can actually check the trends on. So I'm just going to pick, we have restaurant population, crime, and property price, and I can just pick on one. And we see that a box plot has come up, which kind of shows the different box plots for all the 5 cuisines that we have, and shows a few outliers within the different cuisines. And this is an overall visual of all neighborhoods combined. So we haven't gone down to the neighborhood specific units yet. Great. So once we close the box plots, we see 6 of these options open up, and I can just pick, say, let's see what Indian restaurants look like, right? We want to see the kind of cuisine there. Pick number 2. And a really cool interactive map actually opens up on Google, right? So this allows us to actually zoom in, zoom out, and we can kind of see dynamic clusters being formed. And I think the green ones here mean that there's a fewer restaurants there. The yellow ones mean there's a higher concentration of restaurants in that area. And I guess the more you zoom into it, you can see where these restaurants lie. So I think this is a really nice way of showing the user what the distribution of certain specific kind of cuisine looks like in the area of Pittsburgh on the map. And he or she can actually interact with it and zoom in, zoom out, understand what the cuisine is, or at least what the distribution is on this. So we can move on to the next option. So then we say yes or no. Just one thing to keep in mind, Professor, is that I think only lowercase and uppercase Y and N work, because if we do anything else, it exits the program and we unfortunately have to restart the scrape. So let's do a yes for now. Cool. Now we go back to the main menu and we've explored the first option. The second one, let's try that. Cool. So we have different neighborhoods within Pittsburgh. I'm sure there are a few more, but I think this is the extent to which we were able to scrape the data and get information for these specific neighborhoods. And yeah, I guess we can try and just put in a specific neighborhood ID and take a look. Cool. So we see for now the way it is the distribution of visual distribution of the type of cuisines within that specific neighborhood, and also it tells you the neighborhood selected, the total population, and of course the average cost for leasing the property, which is 15.75 in this specific region. So so that's kind of what's being shown over here, and then we also see the population distribution by age. So sometimes the target demographic can be an important variable to figure out what's who exactly a specific restaurant would need to target. For example, if I were to open a McDonald's, I'd probably look at people under the age of 18 because a lot of kids go there. But knowing me, I'd go there even when I'm 30 or 40 or more. But that's kind of what the option number 2 gives, and we can pick on any of the other. We can pick up any of the other options and look at their neighborhood characteristics, interactively. Cool. Now we want to continue. Yes. I'd like to show another actual trend by going back to number 1 because I think it's really nice to see what the heat maps look like. So this is an example of crime heat map. So we can definitely zoom in and zoom out, but at the highest level, we see that this specific area actually, it's red. So we assume that because of a certain score and because of how we visualize it, the crime is fairly dense in this area. So I think it's a really cool interactive, map that kind of shows the more crime infested areas, and probably the place, if I were a restaurant owner trying to figure something out, I would definitely want to try and avoid those areas to start my new restaurant, right? Very cool. So, and also if you click on that, you see some summary statistics over here, right? So I clicked on number 3, so which says crime, and here it says the minimum crime score actually happened in a place called Regent Square, and the maximum at 371 at a place called Carrick. And you see a little bit of comparisons as to, okay, so it's, there's a higher price over here relative to Carrick, but lesser number of restaurants compared to that. But yeah, that's kind of how this specific choice works. So let's continue one more time. And I want to look at locate optimal neighborhood for your restaurant. So let's click on 3. So the first question is asked is, let's pick a restaurant from your below options, right? So I really like Chinese food, so I'm going to click on 1. And how important is cheap property rate? I think that's a fairly important indicator, so I'm going to put like a number 80. For now, we would like to advise people to choose numbers between 1 and 100 for the 3 questions, and we calculate a score based on that. As the product evolves with more funding or more direction from senior stakeholders, we can, we can implement optimization techniques and trade-offs with other questions. But for now, just for demonstration to our client, we'd like to tell them that okay, we can have a score by putting in a few weights, right? So let's do that. 80. How important is low crime rate? I mean, it's okay. 30. And how important is having less competitors? I'd be kind of on the higher side. Based on that, we feel that the top 3 neighborhoods, by selecting Chinese restaurants based on the score that we've given, the weight that we've given for the 3 different major questions are Hazelwood, Friendship, and Troy Hill. So just a caveat, this is based on it's not a very big sample of data, and we just scraped a bunch of different things and put it together. In fact, we have 3 major websites that we're getting from and 1 PDF that we've scraped from. So I believe that it's still limited. It's not a perfect score, but this is based on a weighted sum. We were able to isolate these 3 neighborhoods for the cuisine Chinese based on what the weights the user put in. So there you go, Professor. That's kind of what we have right now. And thank you for using Food for You. And we really look forward to your thoughts, and it would be great to hear your feedback on this product, and we can talk about how we can improve it, take some feedback, and hopefully have the option of having the next iteration, because products like this don't really exist, or at least based on our research are pretty mature, and we'd like to actually pursue this moving forward. So please let us know if you have any questions. Once again, thank you so much for the opportunity, and we hope to see you soon and present in class today.